today.
Yeah.
They're up there interviewing me. Do you mind? So, what do I think of Athens? I've been coming here since the mid-1980s, and it changed, obviously. But to me, and I think for a lot of British people, it's a dramatic landscape. And now I can't get out of my head, because I covered 2010, 2011, 2012. I can't get out of my head the imagery of Athens being turned into a battlefield. So for me, when I look at Stadium, when I look at Syntagma, when I am in Exarchia, sometimes it's safe to go into Exarchia, sometimes not.
You like Exarchia?
I love Exarchia. But it's a battlefield waiting to happen again. That's what I can't get that out of my head.
It's like Brixton in the early 80s.
You know, Brixton in the early 80s, I lived in South London in the early 80s. No, Greece is much more scratchy than Brixton was.
Yeah. What's the most irritating thing that the Greek people do? What's the thing that irritates you the most?
Nothing.
They're asking always questions.
No.
They're not confident with anything.
No, I am a Phil Hellene. I can't think of anything that Greek people do that is irritating. No, really, because I come here every year on my holidays. I have many friends here in Athens.
Do you like Greek food?
Of course.
What's your favorite plate?
Spetsofai.
Why you are so supportive to Greek people?
I don't think I am. I'm not being supportive.
You know, we have a joke.
Yeah.
We have a joke, and we're saying that we might name a central square Piazza Paul Mason.
That would be a tragedy because it really should be Piazza or Platea. Aris Veloukiotis. Seriously, or Pantelis Pouliopoulos. I think that you should reclaim some squares here for the historic left, because the right have some historic people. We should keep them, but there should be an equality for all sides of politics. All I'm trying to do in my journalism is actually restore balance. I don't see it as being supportive of Greece or supportive of this faction or another. I see it as restore balance, because you here, as a small media organisation, know this very well. The Greek media in the past years has not been balanced, and I also think that the international media narrative about Greece has not been, even when it's balanced, it doesn't know enough. People don't know enough. So I say things like Varkisa, and people go, what are you talking about? And I say, it's the 70th anniversary of Varkis. I'll show you a YouTube video. Do you know what you're seeing? December, Scobie, 1944. Do you know what this is? And honestly, people in my profession
how productive is to use these tools from the past?
I think they're very productive, because one of my favourite books in the world is a book called Hope and Memory. And it's about how in the 20th century dictatorships and repression took place because memory was repressed. I think this is very important. For example, on the Holocaust, is that Primo Levi committed suicide because he believed people did not believe what happened. But this is one problem. The other problem, people don't even know what happened. They don't know what happened in Varkisa. They don't know what happened to. Many British people don't know about December 1944. We have to tell them. So these are historical issues, but they are quite clearly haunting the present. And actually, when I was on the polls, I went to Keratsini on the election day, and there was a guy sitting at the Keratsini polling station in a Russian hat with a KKE badge. and unless you know why he is there, and he's 90, so probably he was in those times, either in the Civil War or in the resistance.
And Keratsini is the place that Pavlos Fyssas was murdered by the neo-Nazis.
Yeah. So layer upon layer of history haunts all of us in Europe, including the Brits. We should be more knowledgeable about our own.
Are you supporting Europe?
You know what? I do
support
Europe. I do think.
Is England Europe? Is Great Britain Europe?
It is. And I do think that Europeanism is a very strong thing in Britain. You'll be surprised maybe to know that many on the right in Britain who are against membership of the European Union claim to be Europeanists. And in other words, what they say is that the historic patterns of trade and cultural interchange in Europe might survive better if there was not this massive pressure from above. And I cover this crisis as well as in Athens from Brussels. And every time I go to Brussels, I feel this amazing pressure from above onto the politics of Europe. So I want to liberate it in a way. I want to liberate Europe from...
Do Germans support Europe, not Euro, the currency, Europe, the initial idea of the federation, the initial idea of United States of Europe?
I think Germany is going through a bit of an existential crisis right now, because there was the West Germany, there was a federalist liberal elite that ran Germany, and then there was the reunification, and we thought that everything was okay, but like, this is the richest country in the world, almost certainly the richest country in Europe, it's the most stable country in Europe,
the most productive country,
and yet it has the biggest outburst of anti-Muslim street protest of any other country. There's something, in other words, unsettled going on, and what I think it is, it's a country whose people don't see themselves as leading Europe, but they get a lot of upside from Europe, and you know, people sometimes see my journalism as critical of Germany. You know, if I die, people are going to have to understand German a lot who come to my funeral, because every bit of music will be German. I have studied music. I am obsessed with German culture. But
Berlin techno or krautrock?
No, classical music. But do you know what I mean? I love German culture, but I find it very, very hard to go to places in Eastern Germany and talk to them about this problem. You know, I think they've not been well served in terms of education by their media. The same as Greek people have not been well served by their media explaining to them the real issues. Many Germans think that the bailout went to Greek people. They don't realise that 90% of the money was recycled back into the German and North European banks. And so, look, what we've got to do in Europe is what we do on beaches. We actually just get along with each other. You know, we just get along with each other. But in politics, we seem to be seeking differences, like not just political differences, profound differences in character, that we've got to kind of recognise we have them, and then kind of say, okay, well, does that stop a German guy and a Greek girl, you know, getting together on the back of a moped? It doesn't. So why should it stop the European values emerging from this crisis?
Are you afraid of UKIP and Nigel Farage?
Well, I have to cover this election that's upcoming, and I don't need to be afraid of anybody. I think people misunderstand. People misunderstand UKIP. UKIP is only the right wing of the Conservatives. It's not Laos. It's certainly not Chrysiaki. It's certainly not. It is a Conservative party, and I think. You know, the interesting thing is they have shaken up politics. It's made politics in Britain become more, a little bit more honest, because people had to respond to the...
Are they honest?
Well, it's not for me to say whether they're honest or not. As a journalist, my starting point with all politicians is that they're not all politicians, that they're always, even the ones here, you know, both the previous government and the current government, you always have to take the view maybe they're not honest.
47 days of Syriza, are they honest to their pre-electional promises?
Well, they haven't been able to deliver them.
Of course.
That's the first thing. They haven't been able to deliver them. I think they tried to deliver them. And one of the things I've been keen to stress about this situation in Greece is that it is not all about the debt, the budget, and the European negotiations in Brussels. It is a social and psychological release going on here in Greece that's not all about the left. Some of it is about populism, about the idea of politicians who are not too separate from the people. So I'm just actually here to observe what I've said to my colleagues is that we have never seen a country like Greece governed like a party like. We've never seen a country like Greece governed by a party like Syriza, and we need to document it. We don't need to bring a narrative that's already in our heads. We need to bring our cameras, like you and you have. We just need to bring our ability to passively record it. Mm-hmm. And you guys here at Popaganda are doing that. What I'm hoping to do in my documentary is exactly that. I have just got a massive hunch that it ends with a bang. Okay. It's got to end with a big bang.
Would you like to talk a little bit about your documentary to close with a
so the documentary is called Greece Dreams Take Revenge, and it's of course a summary of a short line from Odysseus Elitis' Action poem, where he says, and dreams shall take revenge. I think it's double-edged. On the election night, we saw people's dreams coming, but I think the dreams, they run into reality, and all we are trying to do is to document the micro level reaction of people. And the reason is really simple. In 100 years, your grandchildren and the grandchildren of people outside here on Athens will go, what happened in those days for the first time ever in our country when this force that had been repressed for 70 years took power? They want to know. They don't want to know what was on Mega Channel or on Alpha Channel, 5 people shouting at each other. Yeah, because they can see that. What they want to know is, how did the flower stall person react? How did the guys in the cafe neons in the mountains react? How did places react? Well, we've seen it. How did the migrants react when a minister walks into Amygdaleza and says, it's over? You, with your camera, you have a very powerful weapon there. And it's not a weapon for anything in politics, just a weapon for recording what we could never record before, real and in real time. So that's what we're trying to do, it's what you're trying to do, and hopefully we'll get to the end of it.
What do you think of Syriza's strategy in the negotiations of these first 50 days? And what do you think of Yanis Varoufakis? Is he a ballsy player or a charlatan?
I don't know what Syriza's strategy has been during the first phase of negotiations, other than to say that clearly it wasn't 100% successful. I think you asked me about Varoufakis. I think Varoufakis has been an amazing weapon for the Greek government into the negotiations, in this sense that, the world noticed him. The world, not the European Union, not Brussels.
He made an impact.
The world, yeah. And the issue for me remains, in the end, whether the Greek government is going to accept what is given by Europe, or whether it's prepared to, at a certain moment, to bang the table and say, no more, we go. And we go means not necessarily leaving the euro, but default, partial default, parallel currency, digital currency. Varoufakis understands this very well. That's all I can say. He understands it very well. But even I do not know what is in the mind of Tsipras, Varoufakis, Tsakalotos. I don't know what's in their mind. I don't know what they will do if pushed hard. All I know is that what I've seen in the last month as they've tried to negotiate is that they are trying desperately to stay in.
You're insisting on this central role of Tsakalotos.
Tsakalotos is Minister of Economics in the Minister of Economics in the Foreign Affairs Department, and I think he was in the British Parliament with us this week. Was somebody who, from the beginning, tried to design what I would call the holistic policy of Syriza. That is, it's not all about the debt, Some of it is about changing ministries and understanding the role of microeconomic change. In their minds, what you cannot accuse them of is incoherence. In their minds, they have a very coherent understanding about the debt, the government, growth, privatisation, small-scale enterprise. They really have a programme. There was no lack of preparation of the programme. The potential lack of preparation was how to deal with the Eurozone and the ECB, who, cut the money off. In England we call it like a slide tackle in football.
Your documentary is based on crowdfunding.
Yeah,
if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. So the documentary I'm making, Greece Dreams Take Revenge, is essentially crowdfunded. And so that means we've gone to Indiegogo, we've asked for donations, we've had 2 or 3 spectacularly good ones, but mainly it's been small donations, 10 or 25 pounds, so 15 or 20 or 40 euros from British people, mainly British people, a few Americans, some Greeks, and we need more Greeks, and we know Greeks don't have any money, but no, it's been amazing that it's been ordinary people, I would say even not even left-wing people in Britain, ordinary British people who want to see the story told and know that me and my team will tell it exactly like it is.
Good luck with it.
Thank you. Take care. Good.